Hello and welcome back to Satisfactory. My name is Okada, and in today's episode, we're going to shift focus just a little bit. You know, between episodes, and while I was editing our previous episode, I came to a realization, and the realization was that our current goal and our current priority overlap a little bit, but they aren't the same. Because our current goal is to clear out this yard and get our production up and running, in a higher volume. But our priority is to make structures look nicer through things like windows and foundations and everything else. And we can't do that right now. And the more we do of the goal, the more we end up with giant yellow boxes. And I mean, buildings are going to be buildings, and there's going to be a foundational structure to them regardless. But we need other shapes, and we want ways of connecting these things and being able to just make it look more cohesive and not just have belts running around the yard. Also, in the previous episode, I said something that was kind of prescient, and I just didn't realize it until I was editing the video. And that was that unlocking the windows might be a two-part thing, which was to research something in the MAM and then unlock it in the shop. And lo and behold, there it is. So by the end of the last episode, I got so tunnel focused that I forgot. I forgot to check the shop to see if maybe it had unlocked. And sure enough, there it is. So we now have access to it. Now it's pretty expensive, but there it is, and then that's fantastic. So today's focus is going to be a couple of things. One, it's going to be ramping up our coupon intake so that we can start getting those things unlocked. And two, it's going to be to take advantage of one of the very important alternate recipe unlocks that we got last episode, which is the compacted coal. And this is a good time to do this for a couple reasons. First of all, our max capacity is now over what we're producing. If everything is on, we would shut down our entire network, and that's not good. So we need to ramp up our power intake a little bit more, which is where the compacted coal comes in. Also, at the coal site, we have Caterium. And Caterium is excellent for early game tickets. So we're going to head back to the coal mine and we're going to do some work out there. All right, so here we are at the Pink Sink. This has been our main income for tickets the entire time, and between episodes I did when I was, I had to be in here and do a little cleanup, and I noticed there was a couple of limestone deposits back here. And so temporarily I threw a couple miners on there and some manufacturers or constructors just to increase our income ahead of this episode. I haven't spent much time, so it hasn't really been running for long. But this thing has been taking in cables and concrete for a large part of our series anyway, so it's had time to stack up a bit on its own. Ooh, 18. Oh, it looks like I just ticked over not too long. 18 tickets. Not bad at all. Let's go ahead and grab these. And let's go grab the ones we had left over. And we're going to make a few purchases before we go. You see, I've pre-stocked my inventory with just stuff. Actually, I probably should get more concrete. There we go, more concrete. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of concrete. There's a reason for it. So we're going back to our coal manufacturing area. And there's some purchases I want to make before we go. Now, I want to get a pillar set because right now our platform for the coal is just floating off in the sky. I really don't like that idea. I don't like doing that. And I always meant to come back and add pillars. So I think we're going to go with concrete. I like the metal pillars a lot, but it's a real kind of a dirty area, right? It's just black coal. And I want to just kind of do raw concrete and save metal pillars for, some fancier buildings and whatnot. So I think we're going to go with that. We're going to, while we're here, go ahead and unlock our windows, though I don't anticipate us using any windows at that site. And here's kind of our big dilemma, right? I want all of these. Don't necessarily need all of them right now, but I do want them. And they're fairly expensive. I think we can safely grab the inverted corner. I really love this double ramp pack, but we don't need it for architecture. It's more function. I haven't been doing the math. We'll see how much we're coming up to here. And I want to get the concrete foundational material, and I kind of want to go concrete themed in that area. So what's that put us at? 24. Whoops. Okay, we're a little over. This is going to feel like blasphemy, but we're going to cut the windows out. Because one of the things we're doing more there is we're increasing our ticket intake, and we're not going to use windows at that location. I think maybe we're good with these purchases. 18 tickets. Let's do it. Quite an investment. And put our remaining tickets back because we don't need those in our inventory. All right, let's. I think I'm pretty good on inventory here. So let's make a run back to the coal. Feel all of that planet warming pollution. Okay, so we're back here, and since we're going to spend a little bit of time here, and the thing that's going to take us the longest is getting the ticket count back up, I think we need to start with getting a sink up and running, and that is where this is going to come in, because Caterium is not bad for making tickets, at least early game. So let's see here. You would have thought that, okay, I was like, why did I not put up a storage? I did. This thing right here is a pain. We'll get into that later. And there we go. There we go. So that's going to help improve. What is... Oh, that's not connected. Yeah, look at that. Going right on up. So that's going to help our rate. It's not not amazing, but it's definitely going to be helpful. So the other thing we wanted to do over here is get compacted coal set up and increase our power output. So if we look at, right now we're producing 450 in coal, and we're consuming just around 400. But if everything was turned on, we would shut down. Or nope, not that one. This one. If just even more. If the max consumption were fully consuming, then we would shut down. We're not really in danger of that at the moment. We have some things that are attached that aren't running, like the two assemblers that are supplying the space elevator. Which reminds me, I forgot to put materials in them before I left. But we still, once we get going, we're going to do our iron plate facility. That's going to have a lot more machines running, and eventually we're going to go into all the other things. So we need more power, and more power is going to mean a lot more burners. We were always going to do this, expand this significantly. But since we have compacted coal unlocked already, we should take the time right now to do that. Because the math is different on, how much we're supplying down a belt line and whatnot. Plus, figuring out where we're going to build the assemblers that are going to actually create the compacted coal and all the other things in between. So now is the time to do that before we start committing to, the final layout of this place. Also, we now have this. Oh, I like this. I really like this a lot. I think this is a very nice pattern. So we're going to take advantage of this as well. We might mix it up. I'm not really sure. But I do want to turn this place into a concrete area, maybe with a little mixture in there. So I'm going to work out where we're going to put our assemblers. And we'll have to start rerunning the coal, because the coal won't come here. It'll go to the assemblers, and then the final product will come back up here, which means this lift right here is no longer going to be carrying coal. So step one of making compacted coal is to know how much sulfur you have coming in. And that's a little bit of a problem for us. Now, I don't recall if it made the cut, but the miner out there, if this guy gets his fat butt out of my way, is in the middle of all of this gas. And so we just built it at long range from here. That doesn't tell us if it's a pure node or not. So we're going to try to get out there. I don't know if this is going to work. Buddy, I am not beyond killing you. Oh, okay, that's not working. That's not helping either. Huh. Where'd he go? I don't know. No idea. So, anyway, we are taking poison damage. So, I think try to go a little higher. 60 per minute. All right. I mean, this is a normal node. That's a little disappointing, but it will serve its purpose. And we only need 60 per minute. Belt, Mark 1. And we're going to run it to... So I just tossed some platforms down there that seemed like a good place to put it. I haven't really settled on exactly how it's going to lay out. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to bring the sulfur over here. We're going to drop it down through a hole, meet it up with the coal, and then put it back on that line and send it back up. The other thing I did is I threw down a temporary holding of coal here, because we're going to take this offline and we don't want to run out of coal and run out of power and then have to jump start the whole thing all over again. So that will, when we're ready to shut down the coal intake and build this, we'll loop that back around and start feeding from here. Looks like it's coming along pretty nicely. Yeah. But let's put a hole in the ground. Logistics. That seems as good as any, right? I'll put it right here. Get a little bit off the edge. And we need to, so you see it's going the wrong direction. It's pointing out. We can switch the direction so that it's going in. We'll just snake this whole thing right through here. Yeah, let's do one more. I like to keep things up on stackable poles as long as possible because it's easier to run underneath them. Just like that. And we'll take it downstairs and we'll line up. Now that I've rebuilt this whole thing on the grid, we'll be able to line it straight up with the foundations down there, and we'll get to supplying some machines. All right, so there is a problem in general in the game, which is it's kind of a puzzler at times. And when you you get to doing things like rows of assemblers, it becomes a puzzler in the sense that you need to come up with creative ways of supplying different belts of materials across a spectrum of machines, right? We're going to have, in this case, sulfur coming in from one side, coal coming from the other, but they have to hit all three machines without the belts running into each other. There are a myriad of ways to do this. I'm going to show you what is probably the more sensible way of doing it right here. So we're going to take a splitter. We're going to line it up with the middle, just like that. Now this is the, I'm going to say, cleaner, more sensible way. And then we're going to stack facing the opposite direction in this case because our coal's going to come from the other side. And then we just do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Alternate really however you like. I mean, it doesn't matter. You know, as long as one stack is going into one machine, it doesn't matter which port you go into. Now this is the sensible, clean way of doing it, nice and easy. You really don't have to do much in the form of measuring. And this one's off center, but I don't care. I don't care that's off center because we're not going with this one. The reason we're not going with this one is because these are all curvy. And you've seen me, I like to have straight lines. Instead, we're going to go with an overly convoluted method that allows us to have straight lines. So, this is going to look messy. And, you know, I just don't want to fall off this platform. We're going to put a dedicated splitter to every one of these, just like we did before, right? There are 6 of them. We don't technically need 6. We could shave the last 2 off. You know, because like this splitter could go to that machine and that machine because it's the last one. It doesn't need split again. But I like to go ahead and put the splitters in place anyway in case we end up adding more later. We can just follow the chain. And then we are going to do another set like this. I don't need that one there. I need this one to line up. I promise I know what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. There we go. It's going to make a lot more sense in a moment. I'm not saying I recommend that you go through doing this. Just that this is the way I'm doing it. Okay. We're going to connect the lines just like that. And that's going to go to here. That's going to go to here. Now, of course, we don't want these belts running through each other. But don't have to. We go up and over. And there's no clipping. They are not running into the belts. So technically this works. And there you go. All nice crisscrossed, straight lines. Isn't it pretty? It is a little bit more complicated to do it this way. And I don't fault for anyone doing it the clean way. And I'm not saying that I won't ever stack the splitters or mergers, but I tend to do it like this because I like the straight lines. All right, we're going to shut off the coal and redirect it and get our machines up and running. Okay, I think I got everything set up just to get this up and running, and we are on the clock because we literally just ran out of coal in our storage. I actually did quite a lot, and I'll explain it as I go. As you can see, I push this back. But since we're on our final coal, we really need this going. So let's get the up should be fine. We do have full storage, so we're not too bad. While I was putting everything together when I was doing the final connections and everything, I kind of had a big brain moment, which was that we have, we established that this is a 60 per minute belt here, or income, because that's a normal. But I think I had mentioned before when I talked about getting power slugs that the real use for power slugs is to increase the rate of intake of raw resources. And here is an excellent opportunity to it. So I went back home, got the only 2 slugs we have, converted them into power shards, built another bridge out there, and turned that up to a 120. So now we have double the output of sulfur, so we can have double the compact coal. So I then upgraded all this to Mark II. Go, 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 go. Meet you guys at the bottom. All right, and I was able to expand the amount that we're going to be able to make. So the compact coal recipe takes 25 coal and sulfur per minute. We're producing 120 per minute of each of those resources. I'm going to do a copy here. And we're going to just paste. Try to get stuck on these. Come on. I'm on the clock. I don't want to run out of coal and have the whole thing shut down. And so 4 of these, right, is going to do 100 per minute. That's coal and sulfur. Leaving not enough for the final one, because we're doing 120, so there's only 20 left over. One of the cool things about this is we can underclock. So we can't do 25 per minute, we can only do 20 per minute. So we can just get in here and type, we only want to do 20 per minute, and it'll clock it down as appropriate. These stats will all upgrade or update as soon as it starts running. All right, now so they're all yellow because they now have recipes. I turned the miner so that it would connect a little more cleanly. Now, of course, these are going to burn out their coal before they can start using the compacted coal, which is great because it'll give us time to get kind of this, backed up and get it caught up down the line. But we're looking at, it's using 15 coal per minute. It's using 1 every 4 seconds. And so our power output will not change. It's 70 megawatts regardless. And now we're only going through 7.14 per minute. So it's taking 8.4 seconds. It's taking a little bit over twice as long to burn through just one of them. So you can see it is much more power efficient. We can fire up a lot more of these off the same amount of coal. I'll get the air coal out of my inventory, stuff it here on the end of the line. So our next thing is going to be to get some more burners up, which means we're going to have to increase our water intake, and that will overall increase our power output so that we are a little bit more secure back at home base. So I'm going to start putting that infrastructure in place, and I'll come right back. Just to bring you back in kind of on a little hitch I ran into. I'm in the middle of being a crazy person again. And this was another one of the situations where I just was going to quietly do something and probably not tell anyone. So I was starting to apply these new textures, and I decided I wanted them to be under the machines, but have like regular going down the middle, striping. And I placed them under the first one, and this was hanging off the back of it too far. So I deleted it and moved it forward one, and it still was off too far. So I deleted it again and moved it forward again. And then it was too close to the pipe for the pipe to go, so I have to change the pipe angle, which actually is fine by me. I like this pipe angle better. But in the process, the network crashed because I had taken just one generator offline, which made me realize that with all the new assemblers, we are right on the edge. right on the edge. I was able to plug it back in real quick and fire it back up without having to do a jump start. But that means that's going to shift what I'm doing right now into making the next row of these before I can fix this row. Now with the new coal output, with the compacted coal specifically, we can support almost 17 burners on just the compacted coal. However, we still are restricted to 6-ish per fluid pipe. We could do a 7th that's underclocked. We probably won't. All right, so if all the water's flowing right, oh, there we go. Let's say then we'll start seeing some smoke. And our capacity should start going up here. This way we can see both things. Up a little bit more. So our production should start to go up. We have our production going up every time we tip over, and that is coming from the bioburners back at our base kicking in to make up the difference. So we are effectively jump starting this again, but this should stabilize. Something just doesn't feel right. Yeah, the water's coming in. Okay, let's try this again with them plugged in. Oh, looky there. We could just pretend that didn't happen. I'm such a goober. All right, I think we know that this is going to stabilize once the water starts to come in. We're not using all 120 of the compacted coal, so eventually it's all going to filter down here and fill up, but it's going to take time, and that's okay. That's okay, because it'll get there on its own. So I'm going to get back to realigning all of these other ones. I didn't move them yet, and painting the ground beneath them, and then I think we'll head back home. Oh, and there was one more thing we wanted to do while we were here. Very important, because we spent tickets doing it. These guys. How big is the lot? That's... Oh, it's a small. Okay. Oh, did I see they can go on the side now? They go sideways. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, this is big and bad. This is what we want. Oh yeah, that looks fine. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Oh, I don't want to disconnect the power line. See, I'm okay with that kind of just going straight into the ground. I don't think that doesn't necessarily require a platform. Yeah. Oh, that's going to be perfect. Look at that. Yeah, I like that. Right through the tree. Yeah. Tree's in the way of progress. And I'm sorry, tree. Looking good. And yeah, there probably should be more platform, supports. And as we expand further and get off of the water, then we'll look to add more. But at the very least, this is a good start. And I'm happy with it. Like I said, I definitely want to look into some opportunities to do some kind of anchoring. So that's just an example. We're not going to spend the time doing it all up right now, but we'll be able to really make this feel a lot more stable as we go along. I know that we're way over time, and I say this every episode, so let's head back home. And we are back home. Home sweet junkyard. But it's always good to be home when you come back from, hard day of work out in the remote area. And today we got a lot done. We got our goals accomplished. We increased our ticket intake so we'll be able to get windows for the house and for the buildings and whatnot. We also unlocked a bunch of very interesting shapes that we're going to be able to use to make these buildings look less generic and be able to kind of turn it more into a complex. So that's very exciting. We also accomplished our goal of doubling our power output, as well as getting the compacted coal implemented. And I built those assemblers out in the open. They're not going to remain there. They're there because I wanted to show you what it was like to build a string of assemblers and what it takes to overcome the challenge of getting the belts in cleanly. And of course, the belting strategies that I showed you are just a couple of them. There are plenty of ways to do it. Feel free to come up with your own. But that just showed better out there in the open. The vision I have for the coal production area is much larger, and the things that I want to do with it wouldn't show well recording live. So I'm just going to go between episodes, and I'm going to tear up those assemblers, and I'm going to build out the structure the way I have envisioned it. Again, I just wouldn't be able to do it on camera. And we'll go next episode and check out the changes, but we're going to spend most of next episode here at home working on the yard and working on bringing this area up in production so that we can start going towards unlocking milestones. But thank you very much for coming out. If you liked it, leave a like. If you haven't subscribed yet and you're watching these videos, consider subscribing. That way you're notified of it. Also, I do have a Twitter account that I use primarily for gaming purposes, so consider looking for that. The link to it's in the description. I'll use it to link related things to games like this from the developers, and to notify when I do projects or when I post new videos. So consider taking a look at that. And consider leaving a comment. If you have anything to say about the series, I'd love to hear about it. If you like it, just let me know. If you would like to see something else included or something done differently, the feedback is very useful for shaping how the series plays out. But that's going to be it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you come back to see what we do with this series in the future.